I just bought the most neglected BMW on Marketplace. This is a 328i from 2013 and I only paid $1,200. And there is a good reason for that. First of all, it's very neglected. Second, it has quite a few miles. It's 140 something miles. Third, the engine is not running and it might need a full rebuild or an engine replacement. This is what you get for $1,200. And I bought this sight unseen from 200 miles away. My dad went and picked it up, so here we have it. Now let's have a look at it. I haven't looked at it before either, so we are doing this together. The first thing you notice is that these headlights are not the regular ones. They are the xenon headlights, which is good. It's a nice feature to have. Then if you look at the wheels, they're not the best wheels for this car. I'm not even sure if these are the original wheels to this chassis. I have never seen this model before on the F30, but that's not really important. Look how dirty they are. They have never been cleaned, or if they've been cleaned, it was a few years ago. The brake dust on there, look at that. That's gonna be interesting to clean, but we will try the best to clean that. As you see here, it has the keyless entry option, which is good. It doesn't look bad, it doesn't look bent or anything out of shape. It just looks very neglected. This tail light, it's hanging out. There's quite a few scratches on the body, so it's definitely gonna need a full polish. Dirty, but nothing out of ordinary. The car is not bad, it's just very neglected. If you look down the side of the car, it looks kind of straight. It doesn't have any dents or knocks or dings. It looks okay. The only thing I see is right here in the front bumper. I think we can use the heat gun here and try to shape this back to where it needs to be and find the trim bit that goes here. Let's look at the interior. Yeah, I don't know if this is visible on the camera or not, but this is very, very dirty. Look at this. I don't even know what that is. This is something I haven't seen before. It would be interesting to find a solution to fix this. Have to find another carpet somewhere. Not replace the whole carpet, but at least, like, maybe I can just cut the section out and put in a good section. I don't know, we'll see about that. That's the least of our problems for right now. The seat doesn't look bad. It does have some discoloration here, but I have some leather dye, so I can definitely correct that. There's some white dust everywhere. I don't know what that is. Typical BMW handle failure. But we have the good sound system, which is the Harman Kardon, and that's something I like. It also has the winter package, and I think it also has the folding rear seats. On top here, there is no head-up display, but at least we have the full screen with the sat nav. That's dirty. That hasn't been cleaned in a long time. Seriously, I have never seen a car this dirty. Okay, so we have 147,000 miles, which is like kind of the right time where these are gonna have some timing chain issues if you were neglecting it, and judging by the state of this car, it was properly neglected. That's good. We have the sat nav. That's perfect. Now that's dirty. Again, how and why is it this dirty? I don't know. Just neglect, I would say. Even though this car looks bad, I think it's still something we can save. Now let's have a look under the bonnet. Now the engine bay looks very dirty, and that's something I was expecting. And as you can see, the belt is removed because this car was taken to a shop. The previous owner showed me some paper from the diagnostics. I don't have it, but basically they tried to turn the engine by hand and it was turning very difficult. So that means most likely bearings. And I do hope that this engine needs to be fully rebuilt, because I really want to take the N20 out and rebuild it. But I do like to try and fix it without spending unnecessary money on it. So if there is a way to fix it without doing that, then we will do that. But I really hope that this needs a full rebuild. And I know I might be the only one that hopes for the worst case scenario, but I do really want to rebuild one of these engines, because to me, even though they have bad reputation, this is a good engine. I used to have an E46 with a 2-liter engine that was 4-cylinder. I know they're not available here, only in Europe, and it had 150 horsepower with no turbo. And basically this is the same engine but with the turbo, and it has 240 horsepower. So almost 100 horsepower more than that one had. And to me that engine was really good for the car I had. Like the E46, it was an M Sport package and it was really nimble, and 150 horsepower to me seemed enough. So I really want to see how these ones are made, and I'm hoping that it needs a full rebuild, because this way I get to learn everything about it. But like I said, if we can fix it without doing that, then that's what we will do. Now let's try and diagnose it a little bit. Let's see how things work out, because they said the engine doesn't turn. Now let's put some power to it and let's try and crank it. Let's see what happens. This engine is interesting to me because everybody is running away from it because it needs some maintenance like any other engine, you know, like you can't just expect it to drive forever. And people just immediately thought, whoa, this is a bad engine. Well, it needs maintenance, it needs good maintenance. It's a high performance engine. It's only a 2-liter engine and it has 245 horsepower. I think that's pretty good. And the compactness of it and the way that it's moved back into the engine bay, where if you look at this is where the struts are. Like barely any of the engine is hanging over the front. Like maybe one cylinder is on this side, but the rest are back in there. So it's like the weight distribution is perfect on this. That's why they handle very well. So if you can modify this to get like 350 horsepower, then this would be a better choice than a N55 non-modified engine for, you know, the twisty roads and stuff. But if you think of reliability, yes, the N55 will last longer, and this would ask for a lot more maintenance. If you do the work yourself at home and you don't mind it, I think this is a really, really good option. It's not good for people that neglect them, because at 140,000 miles it will die on you if you neglect it. So I don't know if the N55 does the same, but I've heard some stories, and for example the N55 in the X5 has only 120,000 miles and that one exploded as well. So I don't know. In my opinion, this is not a bad engine. This is just sold to people that neglect them. The N55 is sold more to people that love cars a little bit more, and they do treat them better. That's just my theory. And it's basically the same engine. only with 2 cylinders less. Everything else looks almost the same. And the good part of all of this is that I have an N55 to rebuild for the X5, which is gonna happen before this. And then right after, if this is bad enough, we will rebuild this. So you get to see the similarities about the two engines, and in my opinion, they're very, very close. Ooh, that's good news. I think that's good news. The engine turns, which is good. It's very good news. Because the crank might be in good shape. Not perfect shape, but we might be able to save the crank. So let's not try to turn it anymore, because that will create more damage to the crank. Let's just try to endoscope the cylinders and see if everything looks good there. And the fact that it wanted to start, it means that the timing isn't off, which is the main cause. And also secondary cause for these engines could be the oil pump chain, which stops the oil pump from working, so there is no oil delivered anywhere. So that could be the cause of this engine not running anymore and turning this difficult. Maybe the oil just stopped being delivered. Now the reason for bringing this in while the X5 still needs to be rebuilt is because this way I know exactly what we have here. I know what we need to deal with, and this way I can order some parts ahead of time. Plus you get to see what the next project would be. After we diagnose this and we know exactly what's wrong with it, we jump on the X5 and we'll go full X5 until we finish it, until it's ready to drive. Okay, the good news is the coils are still here, so if somebody worked on here before trying to diagnose it, they at least didn't leave the parts all disassembled, and I like that. This is a very dirty engine bay. I don't know, it looks like somebody has been driving this car off-road or in a cloud of dust all the time. And yeah, everything is very dusty. Let's remove the spark plugs and check. These spark plugs look like they have never been changed. They're very, very old. Okay, let's see. Cylinder number 1. You cannot see much because it's all the way up. Let's see on the cylinder 2. That doesn't look bad. There's some rust. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything bad here. Cylinder number 3. Doesn't look bad at all. Let's see the valves. Not bad. I'm not seeing any bent valves or anything like that. And now we have to turn the engine a little bit so that the other two come down. Okay, now we have the other two down. And this doesn't look bad at all. Valves are open. The cylinder walls look really good. And let's see the last one. Inside of all 4 cylinders, everything looked good. Let's try and see the timing. The timing looks alright. It looks like it's in one piece. We're going down all the way to the crank, if we can. There's definitely no issue with the timing chain or the chain for the oil pump. They look in one piece. It might even be that this engine ran out of oil and nobody realized to top it up. I don't know. We need to check the oil filter because an oil filter can tell you a big story. In this case, if there's like bearing material in there, we need to see that. I'm almost 100% sure that it's bearings. This could very well be the reason why the car got starved of oil. The oil was not changed in time, and probably the filter wasn't changed in time either. Look how collapsed all of it is. Of course the oil wouldn't flow through this shit. Look how it's like hard, like rock solid. Now you can't even remove the center bit, so I'm gonna cut it open. This could very well be the problem, because this is no longer a filter. This is like, there's no way oil will flow through that. Would have been just fine if they were changing the oil and filter in time. Look at this filter. This is rock solid. There is no way oil can pass through that. This is why these engines die. People are the problem, not the engine. That's why you need to change your oil and your filter in time. Don't neglect this because you're killing your engine. Look at this thing. I cannot even believe that it just became rock. It's not even a filter. This usually opens like a... It's not opening at all. Look at this. It's just breaking apart. It's been there so long. Yeah, that's copper for sure. Those are bearings. Anyway, I think we've seen enough. This is the reason why this engine died. Compare that with the Audi filter that was changed in time. Look, it's soft and it's still cardboard-like, and it's not collapsed in any way. So the Audi definitely had oil changes and filter changes in time, but clearly this BMW didn't. Such a shame to destroy a car just because you couldn't change the oil in time. And also, It could very well be that they went to, you know, those places where you change oil really fast, and maybe they never changed the filter. They dropped the oil and they didn't change the filter. And if you do that 2-3 times in a row and you keep the same filter, then of course this is gonna happen. So we're gonna start removing some of this stuff, like the air box. This only is held in some grommets like this, and it has an intake sensor right here, which is the MAF sensor. I gotta remove this intake hose here. It's connected to the breather pipe and also it's connected to the turbo. These vacuum lines are always a good idea to disconnect and remove out of the way because they're kind of hard. They're hard plastic and they can be brittle and they can break. Just get them out of the way. This way you minimize the risk of breaking them. You don't have to remove many parts to do this, but just the ones that could break. For example, this charge pipe is hard pipe and it's connected from the engine to the intercooler. So if you try to lift the engine with this connected, this pipe will definitely break. So it needs to be disconnected. Charge pipe is disconnected. Now the engine can come up. No issue at all. It's not gonna break that charge pipe. Charge pipe on this side is flexible, but I'm gonna remove it from one end anyway. And I think from the turbo side, just because I wanna make sure it's gonna be okay. This is probably the only under tray that I've removed that has all the screws in their place, which is good news. It's either nobody worked on this or I didn't have any big problems before this, or who worked on it actually worked well and put everything back together. I definitely have a lot more access to remove the charge pipe from here. And now we have access to that engine mount and also to this one. You can see it down there. So we're gonna remove just the top nuts, and this way the engine can be lifted. At this point, we're gonna leave the top of the engine as is. We would need to remove the engine cover once we start diving in, but I want to leave it on until I have the oil pan removed, because if the engine needs to come out, then removing the valve cover would be a lot easier with the engine out. And we'll have to see what's the damage first and then determine what we're gonna go ahead and do. Leave the engine in or remove the whole thing. So back under the car again. Now we have to remove this plate, and this will give us access to the oil pan and also give us access to the differential and the drive shaft, and this way we can start removing some parts. Now with that plate removed, what we have is the front diff needs to come out, and in order for this to come out, you have to disconnect the drive shaft, and then you have to disconnect the front axles as well. And to disconnect the front axles, you have to remove the wheel, and you have to remove the one or two of the arms in order to tilt the hub enough so you can pull out the drive shafts. These are the bolts. There are only 4 of them, and it's best to mark the position here so that you put it back in place, because they are balanced this way, and it's best to just put it exactly how you found it. I usually forget to put my protective gear on, but I just quickly got reminded now that this stuff can fall into your eyes and it's not pleasant at all, so definitely wear the glasses at least. Okay, now this can come down and it can hang around, or you can zip tie it to something, which I'm gonna do. I'm gonna zip tie it right here. Okay, and that's nicely out of the way. We also have to drain the oil out of this thing, but I think we can start working on the wheels and remove the drive shafts. Now the good news is that the brakes are new. The discs are barely, they're not worn at all. And the pads, yeah, they're thick. So the brakes were replaced. That's good. We don't have to do that. Now with the lower control arm disconnected, you see how this can move in and out quite a bit. So we got to disconnect the drive shaft, and hopefully we have enough space to do so. Okay, that seems to be enough space to remove it, but now we need to knock it out from the differential. Okay, now this bad boy can come out. Okay, so we have to do the exact same thing on the other side. Look at that. That was probably the easiest axle removals I've ever done. That's why these things are good for beginners. So the differential is removed. Now we can start removing the oil pan. And now with the differential removed, we have access to all the bolts around, and the oil pan should come out quite easy from this point. And we get to see if the bearings are the problem or what's actually happening inside of this engine. So now we have the pan out. We just need to remove the oil pump, and we have to remove the sprocket at the front and then all the bolts around. This should come out, and then we can access the bearings. This is what we have. The first connecting rod looks alright. Second looks alright. Third one, as you can see, very dark. And fourth, very dark. So these two are the ones that seized. So now we have to remove the caps and see if they can be saved. Most probably the engine will need to be fully removed and fully rebuilt, but we'll see. Let's remove some caps and let's see what's what. No bearing in here. Okay, that's not bad. The bearing came out. Look at that. Definitely down to copper and spun. Again, we have no bearing in here. The bearings are completely gone on these two. These are the closest to the gearbox, and this one is closer to the front, and I couldn't even remove the bearings. And if you look at this one was normal color. It wasn't completely black like these, right? And I thought these two are the worst, but they were not the worst. These is the worst one, because if you can see here, the tang from the bearing dug a groove through the connecting rod. So this is definitely not usable, and the crank is probably completely damaged as well. And since these two as well were in this condition, there is no question about fixing the crank or these rods. So what we need to do now is to remove the whole engine. But now the engine can be turned, so we can actually undo the bolts on the torque converter, because I've released all the bad seized bearings. So it does turn, which means we have a better time with doing that. But what we need to do now is disconnect the coolant hoses, let all the coolant drain, disconnect the wiring, remove the ECU because it's better to have it removed, and disconnect all the wiring around here, disconnect the exhaust, disconnect the gearbox, and then we'll be able to pull this out. I don't think it's gonna be that much work, but at this point it's a full engine rebuild. And I know a lot of people would be upset to find this, but like I mentioned before, I kind of wanted this to happen. I was kind of hoping for a full engine rebuild, and this is the perfect reason to do it. Here we have the engine completely removed from the car and on the stand. Now, in this case, a lot of people would like to throw all of this away and get another one and just plop it in and call it good. But I don't want to do that. I want to take it all apart and rebuild it properly. And I have to say, it wasn't very difficult to remove. I was thinking that it's going to be more of a challenge, but it actually turned out to be quite simple to remove. Like, probably the most easy engine removal overhaul of them that I did so far. And I wanted to rebuild one of these, and this is the chance. I'm gonna take it all completely apart and clean all the parts properly. And we're gonna use new crank, new bearings, new timing, new connecting rods, new pistons, new gaskets all over the place. And we're gonna clean the head completely, clean the valves, change the valve stem seals, basically a full engine rebuild, and make sure that this is going to be good to go for a long time. Hopefully the next owner is going to treat this thing a little bit better than the previous one. And if it gets another 140,000 miles, then I guess that's good enough. So let's start taking it apart. What I'd like to do is to get the wiring harness out of the way. I've already took some pictures just to give me some reference in case it doesn't make sense, but usually these wires are gonna make sense immediately. As soon as you try to install them, they have some curvature to them that you won't be able to miss, plus these clips that hold to the block or the head, they're gonna fit in their position, and if it doesn't fit and you have a clip that's just hanging, you know it's not the right position. So don't worry too much about this, just remove the wiring harness as quickly as you can. Of course, it's definitely a good idea to have some pictures. This way, if something doesn't go right, you can always refer back to the pictures. And this is the last bit. Right away, you can tell this is more manageable. And look at how much dirt is in here. I don't know where this car was driven, but a lot. It doesn't have oil leaks or anything, which is good. It only has some minor leaks around here, but that's just normal. And yeah, as you can see, it's mostly dusty. It's not full of oil like most engines are. And the engine bay is similar story, very dirty like this. But that's good because I will clean all of this out completely. It's coming. It's coming out. And it's in one piece. That's good. That's good. That means it was just the O-ring, but we can clean that up. And the oil filter housing is out. Now let's get rid of the starter. And it has one bolt here, and that's it. The other one is with the bell housing, and it gets sandwiched together. So just this one here, and this should come out. I have to remove the NOx sensors. With the injectors removed, now we can remove the valve cover. Oh my God. This engine was properly neglected. I have not seen anything like it. Look at this stuff. It's so hard. It's no longer oil. Yeah, they haven't changed oil on this engine in a long time. Look at this. Yeah. This engine was properly neglected. I don't think I've seen anything this bad. The good news is that the lobes look very good. They don't look like they have wear on them. And people say these engines are bad. When you're doing this, you could have any engine in the world and it would still fail. Look at this stuff. Have you ever seen anything worse than this? Like, look. Anyway, let's take the timing off so we can remove the head. And in order to take the timing off, we need to undo the main bolt, and that's gonna be a problem. What I need you to do is to hold this here, and I'm gonna pull up and you're gonna hold it down. The flywheel is locked a little bit here, and we're gonna see if we can undo the main bolt without having to take the crane out again.
You've lifted me up. Keep going. Keep going. Yeah, I'm in the air, baby.
I am not even pulling, baby. How light are you?
This thing is strong.
Okay, well, wait. Let it go into the pin, right? Let it go here, where it's locked.
Okay.
And then hold it from this position, so that, and hold your legs here or something, so that it doesn't flip, right? The whole thing.
But you can lift me.
That thing there, right?
Oh, I see. Yeah, you're gonna have to too. Yeah, there it is. There it is. I mean, we're moving, but yeah.
Done.
Woo! I did something.
Yes, babe. Thank you. Okay, we got this out. Now I can remove the hub. The oil pump sprocket and chain comes out. And the hub is out. Now we need to remove these two covers and the pins inside, and then we can slide the cassette out. Look at this. Look. I think that's metal because this thing is magnetic. Look at this one. I'm surprised that this engine was working. And yes, this is magnetic. That's all metal. Yeah. Original timing 2013 from Germany. So now that we have the timing disconnected, we can safely remove the head. Now all the pistons are up because I've disconnected them and pushed them up so I can remove the torque converter, so don't worry about that. We'll have to remove the pistons as well, and we'll check the block and see if we can save this thing. When I said I bought the most neglected BMW on the market, I didn't know how neglected it was inside of the engine. I saw the interior and I assumed it's gonna be bad, and probably that tells you something. When you see a car that's clean, then you know that the owner maybe cared for it, but when you see it dirty, you almost certainly know that they didn't care for it at all. Anyway, let's push some pistons out and let's strip this completely so we can start cleaning it. Even behind the pistons, look at that. The carbon deposits on this thing. Yeah, same story. Very, very bad. And this is probably the number one reason why this was seized. It dug a groove into the connecting rod. It has some wear, but it's not terrible. If they were to change the oil in time, this would have been fine. I'm surprised how things are still moving. And the rings are not stuck. Surprisingly, it never leaked oil from the rear main seal. This is completely clean. If you do one of these rebuilds, do not ever forget to put this in, because the crank sensor is going to read information off of this, and if you forgot this, it's not going to start. The main bearings look okay. These bearings were just fine. Even with that neglect, the main bearings are completely fine. So the weak point on these engines is the connecting rods, not the main. Which is good, because if the main spins, the whole block is gone. Well, we got some cleaning to do. Even though I rinsed this with some degreaser, it's still full of deposits. You can tell here they're like big chunks like this. Like, this is not gonna come off easily. I cleaned it with some degreaser to make my life easier to take it apart, but once it's all apart, it's gonna be a lot easier to clean. And I really hope that I can save this head, because it's so bad, and I don't know, hopefully we can save it, but we have to strip it all apart and clean it properly. Now for this bit, you would need a special tool to compress the spring and undo this bolt and remove the spring with on the tension, but I do not have that tool, and this is still under quite some tension, so I need to find another way to release the tension from the spring so that I can remove this bar, or at least hold the tension for a little bit backwards till I can remove the camshaft, and then I can release the springs. Okay, now we have all the springs under tension, so we can release the camshaft. As you can see, these springs were pushing against the camshaft, and now since they're holding back by the strings, I can remove the camshaft without any unwanted pressure to possibly bend the camshaft. So, and after the camshaft is removed, I can press on this, cut the string, and release the spring. So it's not the fastest way. If you had the tool, it would be just clamp in, compress the spring under the bolts, and remove the spring. It would be so easy. But I ordered once one of those clamps and it wouldn't fit. It was for a different purpose, but it looked the same and it wouldn't fit, and I struggled with it, and I ended up sending it back and never ordered another one. I have to find one that is specific for this type of engine and order it and have it. But for now, we're gonna do it like this, even if it takes a little bit longer. Now it's time to remove the springs, and then we'll have access to the valves as well. Now we need to remove the valves, and I'm gonna use this. You have to remove these retainers, and then you can release the spring, and now the spring can come out and the valve can be pushed down. And this is how the valve looks. Actually, it doesn't look bad at all, but we'll clean it anyway. And this is the valve stem seal, and it's rock hard. So I'm gonna replace them anyway. Okay, now we have the head completely disassembled. There's nothing else to remove from this head. We need to clean it really well. We need to clean the valves. We need to clean all of these parts and then reassemble it. It has some deposits, but not very bad. I think it will clean up quite nicely. Now that we have some clean parts, it's time to reassemble the head. Put all of these parts back together so we can move forward. I'm using this tape to hold the valves in position while I turn the head around. This way they don't fall out, and it's a lot easier to install the springs. Now, as you can see, there's two different colors of valve stem seals, and it's because they're different sizes. This one is smaller, this one is bigger, and on this particular engine the exhaust valve stem seal is bigger and the intake is smaller, so the brown goes on the intake and the green goes on the exhaust. Now all the valves are installed, with all the retainers are back in place, so now we have to install these springs on top here and use the string method again to pull the ends closer so we can add the camshaft here, the camshaft here. Yes, this method is not by the book, but it works. And when you don't have the special tools to get this thing done, you can do stuff like this. Now it's time to deal with the pistons, and I'm very excited to say that I got new pistons, new rings, new connecting rods. Even though these pistons could be saved, they have heavy deposits everywhere, like the rest of the engine, and it would take quite a bit of cleaning to get them sorted. The connecting rods are gone, they have a lot of wear and probably lost their initial shape because they got, you know, overheated, and plus this one has a big groove in it, so no more use out of these connecting rods. The pistons could be saved, but look at the new ones, so much easier, so much faster. So I'll go with the new ones, and now we have to assemble all of these, and we have to measure the rings to see if they're fitting inside of the block alright, and then we can install all of these rings on the pistons, install the connecting rod, and we have that sorted, and then we can start rebuilding the engine. In order to measure the end gap, you have to fit one of these rings inside, and you have to use one of the pistons to line it up. And now this gap between the end of the rings needs to be between 0.18 millimeters and 0.33 millimeters. So what you do is measure the gap. The 18 goes in easily. Then we go to the middle, let's say 0.25. That fits. And let's go to 0.33. That does not fit properly, it snags, so it's good, it's in spec. Now we're gonna have to test all of them. Okay, these are all good. We can now test the next ones. So these ones have to have a bigger gap, which is 0.30 to 0.50. Yep, we're good. So now we can start assembling these pistons. Now looking at the old piston, you can see the mark on top, the QR code, and it has an arrow towards that direction. And if you look how this is mounted, the tang portion of the connecting rod is on this side. And that's basically all you need to know to install this correctly. This should not need any force to slide in. It should be very tight, but it shouldn't need to be knocked into position. It should slide like this, and it doesn't move side to side at all. And then we need to grab the connecting rod, a little bit. And now the mark is on the top side here, and the tang is here, this groove. That means it goes like this. Okay. Now we have to put these clips back into position. Okay, now we've got the connecting rod in place, and we need to install the rings. So for the rings, we have to start with these. These are very thin, so they can be maneuvered in place by hand. Very careful so we don't break any of them. Now this one, it has to be end to end, but not overlap like this. It has to be end to end. And it's going in the middle of the two oil rings. Yep, we have no overlap. And now this other ring can go on top. Now we have to offset the gaps. Okay, so the oil ring is in place. In this case we gotta use this ring expander because it's a lot easier to install it. I mean, there's ways you can install it without this, but this is so much easier. And boom, we have this cleaning ring installed. The compression ring has a spot on the top side and completely nothing on the bottom. So, and on this one it says T from top. So that's how it goes. Okay, now we have one piston fully assembled. And that's the top. And with that, the pistons are assembled. Now it's time for us to move to the engine block, and we have to install the crank and then the pistons. The engine block is properly cleaned and ready to be reassembled. At this point, what we need to do is to install the main bearings, then the crankshaft, and then we can put the bed plate on it. So now, as you can see, the main bearing has the truss bearings on the side, and because this does not have a hole, this is for the top, and this one with the hole in it is for this particular spot. And what I like to do is to clean the back a little bit, just to make sure there's nothing in there, and you don't want any oils and stuff like that. They usually come lubricated in some thin layer of oil just to keep them from rusting, but for the assembly you do not need that. You need them to be as clean as they can be. You have to pay attention for these bearing holes to line up with the block, because some of the bearings are different. I don't know why, but I had a situation in the past where the bearing just had the hole in the other direction and the tang was matching, but it wasn't in the right direction. So if you don't pay attention to that and you install it, then you end up with a seized engine right away. And now it's time to drop the new crankshaft in. And we have to make sure that it spins freely. This is what the bed plate looks like. The bearings are installed. We have assembly lube on them and also a thin bit of sealant on the outside edges. Now before we torque these bolts, it's a good idea to install the front and rear main seal. And I have the ones that have the spring on the inside, and they're gonna be a lot better than the normal ones. It's a lot easier to install them now when it's not all torqued. The torque specs for the bed plate is 20 Newton meters for all of them, and then followed by 90 degree. And then after these are torqued, these ones get torqued to 15 Newton meters. Okay, now we have them at 20 Newton meters. Now we have to do 90 degrees on these bolts. That's 90. Now the crank still turns freely. And that's an important step. This arrow needs to point towards the front of the engine. So now that we did 20 Newton meters, it's time to do the 90 degree angle. That feels smooth. Let's see the piston dents. So on the head bolts we have to do 30 Newton meters and then 90 degrees and another 90 degrees. Now we're gonna have to do the flywheel. First things first, so I don't forget. Everything is assembled, but it's left loose so that we can time the camshafts, time the crankshaft, and also time the oil pump, because the oil pump on this engine has a balancing shaft in it, so it has to be timed with the engine. I'm going to show you that right now. This is where it's driven. This shaft goes in here. Here there is a counterweight, and there in here it has a gear that goes to connect to the oil pump. So it's also a balancing shaft, which means we have to time this with everything else. And in order to time it, there is a little bit of a tool that you need to connect right here. This is the tool in question. So this bolt screws here and this pin goes inside and it should connect in there. So now you turn this gear until this falls into place. You cannot turn it this way and you cannot turn it this way. It has a pinhole in there. It's in the right spot. Now we can connect this. And to torque that bolt, you have this thing here. Now because it's timed, it fits right in. And you have two screws to fit in there. Okay, and now the sprocket is held in place by this tool, so we can torque this bolt here. This gets torqued to 95 Newton meters. Okay, now that we have the tensioner in position, we can remove the pin and the tensioner pushes on the chain. So that's done. We still leave this one in place because we haven't finished timing it. So we have to turn it around, do the camshafts, and then we can do this bolt. Okay, so if these are flat and this tool sits flat with the head on both sides and it's connected to the camshaft, then you're good to go. Sits right here on those two bolts, and they pin these holes. Okay. And these rings cannot move anymore because they're held in place by this pin, which is their right position, and you have enough space to go in and tighten these bolts. Now these go to 55 Newton meters and another 50 degrees of rotation. Now on the big bolt we have to go 100 Newton meters and 270 degrees of rotation. But for now we'll do just 100 Newton meters. Now we can start removing these. And we can remove this. Everything is timed. I'm putting the injectors now because I want all of these holes that have direct access to the pistons to be completely closed off, so this way I don't drop anything in there. I'm gonna put the just the coils here, no spark plugs, so we can still turn the engine easily, and this way there is no way of dropping anything in the engine. A little bit of extra lubrication for the first few turns where there is no oil going through. So this way we can install the valve cover as well, and we can turn the engine around. This is perfect for a freshly rebuilt engine. Having a new valve cover is a must. I'm happy about this because the PCV system is refreshed and we know that we won't have any problem with that. This is the oil filter housing, and it's a very known common cause of oil leaks. And as you can see, this gasket here is completely flat. And not only that, there is another gasket between these two, and if that one fails, oil can mix with coolant and it's not a good thing. A lot of people can mistake this fault with a blown head gasket. So I have new gaskets for both sides, and we're gonna replace them and clean this whole thing up. Do you see where this could mix oil with coolant? You see how this side is oily and this side is coolant? Well, oil flows through here and coolant flows through these two. And if the gasket fails here, they will mix and it will make your oil like milkshake. If you have that situation, this is the first thing you should check before you assume head gasket. Now we have the parts cleaned. They're not perfect, but they're definitely better than they were. And now we can assemble these back together. Okay. And
pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane. Pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less. You check as I'm chess, what's happening next? Yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson. He got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold an obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I'll leave an impression and take your redemption. Just kill no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression. Could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody and stained from the people.
so we've got the engine fully assembled and it's ready to go into the car. And the car has been outside and the engine bay has been washed and cleaned. So now we have a clean engine bay and a ready, fully rebuilt engine. So let's get this engine installed and let's turn the key.
So he's been looking for somebody who could save him instead of.
So now we have the engine mounts installed. The engine sits where it needs to sit. The bell housing is connected all around. Also the flywheel is connected, and so I locked the flywheel onto the gearbox with that special tool. And now we have to do the 270-degree angle on the main bolt. And if we forget to do this, the timing will slip and you destroy the engine. So it's a really important step. You have to do the 270-degree angle on the main bolt. And this is the way to do it. This is the easiest way to do it once the engine is in place, because now it's held by the engine mounts. So, and it also the gearbox bell housing helps you to lock the flywheel into position. So definitely the best situation to do this amount of torque. You can do it on the stand, but you need to do some, find some way to support the stand, because it can break the thing or it flips the whole thing aside. So this is definitely the best way to do it. So let's mark the position and let's try to do 270. And to do that, we're gonna use the breaker bar. Even this is not long enough, but I mean, it's good compared to this that's like significantly shorter. So here we go. It's very, very difficult to do. Okay. That's 270. So now it's definitely not going anywhere. In my opinion, that's about 500 Newton meters of torque there. And it needs to have this much torque because those sprockets, they can slip if there isn't enough tension between them. And this bolt is a stretch bolt, so it has to have enough tension on it, and this way it would keep them tight. Okay, so we have pretty much everything assembled. I've already added some coolant, and now we have to add oil, and we can start cranking just to build some oil pressure. Keep in mind, I still don't have the spark plugs in. There's just coils in place just so that nothing falls in there. But I'm gonna crank it, and this way we'll build some oil pressure, and then I'll put the spark plugs in. So for oil, we're going with Liquimoly, and it's 530. I think this is one of the best oils you can get in today's market, but I don't want to recommend anything. This is really good oil in my opinion. Okay, so now I have about 4.5 quarts in the engine, and I think it takes about 5 in total, but we'll crank it. It should be enough to build some oil pressure and start the engine, and then we can fill up the rest of it. Of course, I forgot to remove the coils, and since it's building compression, it would push them out. ECS Tunning sent me new spark plugs, original NGK, and also they sent me these lovely ignition coils. Look at that. I think we are now ready to start this thing. It's not fully assembled. There's still stuff to go around the windshield cowl. The drive shafts are not connected. The wheels need to be installed. But we're really close, and I want to hear this thing run before I go any further. So let's turn it on, and let's see what happens. There's a little bit of smoke coming out, but overall, I think it's a good first start. I think it needs to run a little bit more for the oil to burn off, and I need to top up some oil, probably top up some coolant, but in the meantime, now that it's running, I can reassemble everything and then take it for a spin. The engine seems to run okay. There's no more smoke. Yeah, it seems that it's running really well. That makes me so happy. Let's see what is the vehicle status. Hood open, remote control, battery weak, brake light, rear 2-stage brake light, daytime lamp, increased battery discharge. Okay, that's okay. We have to... The brakes were replaced, and I guess they just need to be resetted from the service history, and we'll let it warm up. I want some hot air coming through, and then we'll take it for a drive. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here.
Alright. Hey.
Let's see.
Dun, dun, dun. It's a little dingy in here.
Well, of course it is, baby.
It feels great.
Feels good, huh?
Yeah. Oh, I miss the little 3 Series. Oh, I miss them. They're so cool. The heater works.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
warmed it up and it's doing its thing.
That's awesome. Brakes.
Yeah, brakes seems to brake.
That's good. And I mean, it's just complaining about the headlights, so that's pretty awesome.
Feels alright.
Yeah, alright.
Yeah. Doesn't it?
Yeah. The car is perfect. I don't hear anything, feel anything. It needs gas. And you gotta check out that headlight.
Not just one. Both.
Those. Oh. Both of them a little bit.
It doesn't work on short beams or short long beam.
Okay.
Nothing.
Alright. So we got some
It
bold.
only has some daylight on that one.
Mhm.
It has the corner lights on both, and that's it. Short and long beam, nothing. And this one doesn't have the daylight, so.
That's not bad. Couple light bulbs, that's not bad.
But it's not. I don't think it's light bulbs. I think it's more like, you know, fuses or something, or bad connection somewhere. But or from washing the engine bay, maybe something. But I looked at one of the headlights and it's not wet or anything. Yeah, it feels okay. It doesn't feel like it needs any suspension work. It absorbs the bumps well. The engine runs good now. It feels okay. I mean, I don't want to push it just yet because it's barely
Yeah, I agree.
rebuilt, but
Here we go.
you want to drive it back?
Sure. Oh my gosh. Why are they kind of my fit? I mean, I love the 7 Series, but there's something about the fit of a 3 Series that just feels like it's just special. I don't know. 3 Series, man. I haven't driven the M3 either, though, so.
Yeah, but the M3 is manual, so you...
Oh, I'm not going to be doing that. No. I'm not going to be doing that. We're not going to be. Oh, it feels great, baby. You did so good. But,
Yeah. good, huh?
It feels great. I love how cute it is. I don't know. It just,
I mean,
it's so special.
There's a lot of cleaning that needs to be done.
Yeah, but that's all surface level stuff. We're talking about the nitty gritty here, and it feels great. I mean, it's a little sticky. We're not talking about that. Ready? Just feel it. That's a 3 Series.
Feels good, huh?
It feels amazing. I remember in my Chevy Spark, oh no, I wouldn't have done that with one hand. Oh, no way. I'd be like, oh God, come on. Keep the corner. Don't flip over. Nothing. Nothing. It's beautiful.
The first drive went as smooth as I can hope for, and I'm very happy to say that the engine rebuild was successful. The engine runs really well. It's very low on gas, and that gas is also old, and I think it will work even better once I put in some fresh gas and run it a little bit more. We just took a short drive, and I'm really happy with the result. There are some other problems with the car that need to be sorted, like the headlights. They both have some issues, and I'm thinking it's because I washed the engine bay and maybe some water got in there, and the computer just went into the safety mode and turned the power off to the headlights. And also, the last thing I want to mention, we got merch. As you can see, we have the BIMMERHEAD hoodie, and also we have the t-shirt. And we've launched a few t-shirts, a few hoodies, and this t-shirt means the most to me because it has the 7 Series, and I love that car, and I don't think I will ever sell it. And I think these are very comfortable. As you can see, t-shirt is a little bit longer, and it also has the M stripes on the back. And the hoodie as well has the M stripes on the back. And yeah, we have some on the store. Somebody mentioned a few, maybe a few weeks ago, that if we had some merch available, they would be happy to buy. And so Talia, my girlfriend, saw that comment, and she was like, why don't we have one of these stores? Why don't we make some? And I've been thinking of making this store for a long time, but never had the time. So she decided to take this as a project for her own, and she built the store. She designed most of these t-shirts. I helped her a little bit here and there, but mostly she did all the work. So if you want to support the channel and also show her some appreciation, go ahead and order yourself some of these merch we have available, and let's get back to work. Look at this stuff. I'm gonna clean this all up. Look at these. You see this? It definitely needs to be properly cleaned. Anyway, now that you're properly disgusted, let's clean this up. I don't know if you can see these, but there's some white spots all over the front end of the car. I hope that they come off. They're definitely not rock chips. They're some round spots of paint or something. The car cleaned out alright, not completely. Most of the stuff should come out when we polish it, but I do not like how the wheels cleaned. I mean, I could have insisted on getting more of that solution on there, but I mean, on the face, yeah, they cleaned really well. But but I want to remove the wheels and clean them really good on the barrel as well. As you can see on the back side, they're very dirty, so I want to clean them really well. Here I'm using just the regular wheel cleaner you can find on Amazon. It does do a really good job, but you have to sometimes scrub a little bit. Now I have all the wheels cleaned up. They didn't turn perfect, but they're really clean. And on the inside of the barrel, it's clean. Not perfect, but a lot better than it was. That's for sure. Since I'm here, I thought it's a good idea to give the calipers a little bit of paint. Now the wheels are clean and back on, the calipers are painted blue, and it's time to take care of the body. And we need to polish it because it has a lot of spots of paint and also some kind of scratches here and there. There's definitely some improvement here. So I'm gonna give the whole car a quick polish, and I'm not gonna go too crazy on it, just to remove some of these scratches. And most importantly, to get rid of the paint that is attached to the front of the car. I don't know exactly what happened there, but I have to say that it took me a while to remove those dots. I tried a few different methods, and I ended up having to scrape them a little bit with a blade, and they would come off, and after polishing it would look like nothing happened. So it turned out alright. This is the result I've got, and I have to say that this looks a lot better than I expected. Comparing to other cars that I polished before, this somehow ended up turning out way better with way less effort, and I really like how the paint shines now. And yes, it could have probably turned out better if I was to put more effort in it, but I'm not looking for perfection, and I want to preserve the clear coat as much as I can, and this result is more than I was hoping for. As you know, the headlights were having some difficulties, and I thought because I cleaned the engine bay, I must have gotten something wet, and the computer freaked out and turned off the power to the headlights. But the reality is something else. The light bulbs are completely smashed, and it looks like it's been like this for a while. So maybe it wasn't my fault after all. These LEDs, they were not wet or anything, but I know they do fail, so maybe they did fail a while back, and since the previous owner didn't care much about maintenance, they didn't do anything about it. But the good news is I got replacements for the HIDs and also for the LEDs on the driver's side So let's install these and clear the codes for the headlights. Now for the LEDs, you have to have the inner fender removed in order to remove them and install them, because they live under the headlight and you cannot access them through that access hatch. And for the light bulb, yes, you can just do it with the access hatch and it's plenty of room. Now we gotta check for codes and reset that module. And now we're gonna go into special functions. So this allows me to enable each light from outside of the car. This way I get to see if they're working properly. So let's try that. We're gonna start with low beam headlights, and you can activate them here. And as you can see, they're activated, so they both work. Turn indicator left. That works. Turn indicator right. That works. High beam headlights. And yeah, that works. Fog lights. Yes, both of them are on. The headlights errors are gone. The code reader cleaned everything out and we are now good to go. As you see under the table, my long beam and short beam works, my daylight works, and the adjustment for height works as well. So that's another problem sorted. Now it's time to take care of this interior. I like to start by collecting all this stuff and then give it a big hoover all around, gather pretty much all the big things that I can, and then we go into like foam cleaning and, you know, interior cleaner on the parts you touch. So let's take care of the carpet first, even though it's kind of the upside down method because stuff is gonna fall on the carpet, but I'll vacuum it at the end one more time just to make sure it's as clean as it can be. After the carpet is properly cleaned, we can move to the door cards, and here I like to use interior cleaner first, scrub it off really well. This way you get all the dirt out of the panel, and then we can use some leather treatment and it would look a lot better. And the same applies for the seats and the dashboard and all the areas you touch in the car. And at the end of this, everything will feel basically like new. It will feel a lot better because the leather gets to absorb some treatment, and also all the surfaces are completely clean. The smell is going to be better. So this is very important. Even though I'm skipping through these steps a little bit faster, I want you to understand that cleaning the interior is one of the most important parts after you bought a second-hand car. After you fixed it, obviously, and you can start using it, it's best to have the interior properly cleaned, because that's where you're going to spend the most of your time. And I highly recommend you put a lot of effort into cleaning the interior. Exterior will get dirty anyway, so it's not a big deal if you clean it right or not, but the interior is where you stay, and it's very important to have it clean. It looks good, doesn't it? Can you even believe that this is the same car we started with? I have to say I'm really happy with the result on this car, and I have to give special thanks to ECS Tuning for helping us with this project. Special thanks to MUCAR for helping us with this project as well, and special thanks to all of you because you've watched the process, and the comments, the likes, everything helps moving the channel further. And of course some of you like the content enough to subscribe to the channel, and that only makes me want to do more, and I will do a lot more, I promise. Now, in case you want to support the channel even further, you probably know that I've released some merch on our new store. Go ahead and check it out. Under the video you should see some of the t-shirts we have released. If you have any design that you might want us to consider, tell us in the comments and we will consider that and hopefully bring it to the store. Now, thank you very much for watching. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.